All right. This is Sean Wiltsey for Intro to Mechatronics. This is for Lab 2 on April 2nd, 2020. This is the assignment that we were given. So let's start with number 1. So it told me basically that it wanted me to put into code something that would ramp up this motor right here up to its full speed, so from 0 to 5 volts over a period of 5 seconds, and then to decelerate it down from 5 volts down to 0 volts in a time span of 3 seconds. So this right here is the code for that. So basically I have the motor being made into a variable, same thing with the Arduino. I have the time original, which is 0, to time final, which is 5. I have the initial velocity and the final, or not the velocity, the voltage, first voltage and final voltage that I want. I have a while statement after starting a tick, which is basically going to make it so that it only lasts for 5 seconds. I make time is equal to Toc so that it's the calculation for the voltage input is based on the timer. And so that's the equation right there using my my voltage final and voltage initial that I want. And then it's to write the voltage to the motor. And so basically it's kind of the reverse for decelerating it. So I'm going from the volt in 0 or volt initial from 5 down to 0. And basically it's the exact same code. And then I also have just a write so that final line is just to make sure that the motor is off when the code finishes. So if I run this, it's going to be kind of hard to hear. I did time this. It's roughly around 5 seconds up, 3 seconds down, but it's really hard to try to manually time that. So it's around that. So hopefully the camera or the video will be able to pick up the sound of it ramping up and decelerating. So. Alright, so that's basically it. Alright, so on to the second one. So the second one wanted me to use the FSR sensor to control the speed of the motor by increasing the voltage or just by pressing down on it. And then it wanted me to make it so that the user could calibrate to themselves, because not everyone has the same kind of pressure, being light and a firm grasp and a light grasp on it. So the code wanted me to make sure that it would be available for everyone and not be set on a certain amount of variables. So this is the code right here. So basically set up the Arduino and the FSR. Displays two things. So first you're going to display this message to grasp it lightly. And so the person has 3 seconds to do so. And then it puts that variable that it reads during those 3 seconds to light touch. That's a variable. Does again, another message for the firm grasp. Again, pauses for 3 seconds. The variable called firm touch is the voltage read off of that. And then there's 3 if statements. So basically it's for light touch, in between light touch and firm touch, and if it's more than or equal to the firm touch reading, those are based on. So if it's less than the light touch, the motor won't go. If it's more or equal to the firm touch that the person did, it's going to go to maximum speed. And if it's in between those, it will ramp up linearly, because that's how voltage and the speed kind of works for this. So I'm just going to run this. And I'm not going to show the screen, but just know that in the command window it's putting those up. So basically, oh wait, but I gotta look at it. You have 3 seconds, so put it lightly, hold it down firmly, and so now it's going. So if I press it down lightly, nothing. But as I press harder, but as soon as I press lightly, I didn't do it correctly with the first thing. I missed the 3 seconds, or it didn't get it. I kind of panicked. So this is sort of a code that relies on the person following the instructions on the command screen in time. I gave them 3 seconds, but maybe it should be longer than that, just to give them time to like understand what a firm or light touch is. But basically that's it. So as you can see, so light touch, nothing. But as you press harder, and then when I'm pressing all the way down, you can hear it's at full speed, going down. All right, so basically that's that one. All right, so the final one, let me just pause this. Debugging. So basically this one asked us to do 3 modes. So basically using a button, you have to press the button, and for however long the button is pressed, it will choose between 3 separate commands or 3 separate sensors, read their data, and then plot it. And so so that's at 1 second being pressed down, 2 seconds being pressed down, and 3 seconds being pressed down. And then it also wanted me to, and then the 3 sensors are the FSR, the photoresistor, and the temperature sensor, which all have their kind of like issues with it. So basically, my hand is shaking. Here's setting up all the things: motor, FSR, button, light. So while read button flag is equal to 0. So basically that's just saying while the button is 0, nothing's happening. So then it's if the button is equal to 1, start a timer. If the timer is less, so that while the tick is less than 4, so I give 4 seconds just in case someone goes over 3 accidentally, so that it still reads that. I know that's kind of redundant maybe, but it works. So if talk is less, so it's saying that while it's equal to 1, the timer's starting. So if talk is less than or equal to 1 and the button is on, the flag is 0. Else if the talk is greater than 1 or less than 3, I know that's from 1.1 to like 2.9, but again, 2 seconds is really hard to time for people, so that's why I did that. And then the read button 1, so if those 2 are true, the flag is equal to 2, and basically if it's greater than 3 and the digital pin is still on, the flag is 3. Based on those flags, then it goes down and chooses based on if statements. So if flag is 1, if flag is 2, and if flag is 3. So if flag is 1, it's going to start to read, or it's going to start doing this kind of, this is the part that's really hard to explain, and I don't have much recording time left. So what I'm just going to say is this is basically graphing it. And this part right here, these 2 lines, 42 and 43, are important because the voltage is read from the FSR, which is only reads out for voltage. It does not read out force. So we need to use a function which takes the V, or the force read from the FSR, and converts it into basically newtons, or a force. And so that's put into V force. And so I plot V or T based on the time. So this is it's a 3 second sampling period. And then so that plots the force calculated using this function, the voltage to force, over time. And then of course, correct labels for that kind of stuff. And then it also asked me to find the total impulse of force. And so that's right here using the trap function of the same equation. And so that's going to fprint to the command window. The second one is just reading the voltage from the light sensor. So it's basically the same thing. It's taking the read voltage from the light sensor and it's graphing it over a period of 3 seconds. And then, of course, it labels it. And then the same thing with temperature, except for temperature, there's a little bit more calculations that had to go on. So basically, you read the voltage from the temperature thing, multiplied by 100, subtracted 50, and that gave you Celsius. But then I had just automatically chugged in to Fahrenheit. So this is times 9/5 plus 32. And then it plotted, of course. So basically, what we're plotting is we're plotting force over time, voltage over time, and temperature over time. And I can see the recording is going to die, so there's going to be a second part of the actual workings of me testing it.